You were telling me earlier though that you do like a really good Wakandan accent.
They were just like, oh, you're tattoo artist. Yeah.
Would you do a better job of training people than I would tattooing?
He described it as like this beam that
Yeah.
was, I don't know, like just across the room over there. Hi, I'm Deanna.
Hi, I'm JP.
Today we're gonna tat and talk.
I'm just gonna talk.
I'm the tattooer.
Tattooer. Does anyone call them that? Tattoo, or is it just tattoo artist? Tattooer.
There was this.
Tattooist.
There was like, it was a controversial thing when I was younger. Tattoo artist and tattooers.
Yeah. Like, is that kind of like you can't call a fraternity a frat?
They were just like, oh, you're tattoo artist. Yeah.
You think you're an artist?
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah. I'm a fitness coach, bodybuilder, and amateur juggler.
I'm gonna know how to juggle.
I can do 2. That's why I'm an amateur. I'm working up to 3.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I think
Do you
most
have
people can
juggling
juggle
balls,
2.
or do you juggle with objects?
Just stuff
Just
around.
random
Usually
things?
fruits
Your
that I have.
dogs?
No, yeah, usually like fruits and stuff, and then if I drop one, it's over. Okay, so here's the thing. Half the stuff I brought with me was fruits in my carry-on because I bought so many fruits before we left that I didn't want to go bad because my wife doesn't really eat fruits. So in my bag, I had a whole thing of cherries, blackberries, and some blueberries, and then I brought like 5 plums and a bunch of peaches. So, but I've eaten most of it so far. It's been a day and a half.
What do you think, like when you're getting tattooed, what's the kind of snacks that you bring in order to get through one?
I usually don't, but I think if I were to have anything with me right now, it'd probably be fruit. I'm kind of upset I left it all in the hotel. I was talking about that earlier. I just think fruit is really good like most times of the day.
Yeah.
Because it's like candy, but you feel good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of feel like tomatoes. I feel like the little tomatoes are nature's gushers.
So I like the little tomatoes a lot, but the problem is like the little tomato's best friend, it's mozzarella. And so my recent thing at like 12, midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. kind of thing is I'll just have a whole little slab of mozzarella and then I'll just keep cutting pieces off and just add a little salt to it. And the problem is it's like a pound of mozzarella, but like you can really go through that thing. So
you're just cheesing it up.
I'm just cheesing it up, yeah. My sister's
like
so
a whole
jealous
block
because
of
she's
cheese.
lactose intolerant,
Oh,
but I'm not.
God.
Yeah,
What got you more into
trying.
that?
I enjoy that more, honestly. Like, even like the fitness content, it'd be way more fun for me to like solely focus on just making like stupid gym videos and like workouts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, it doesn't really help like my business as much. That's actually a conversation I was having with my buddy the other day because like I have one of those friends like who is just like can't figure out, you know, the algorithm.
Oh, yeah.
And he's another coach of mine. And so we have that talk here and there, like what works, what doesn't work, etc. And I actually use like your page as an example because I was like, the skits and stuff like work really well for you just because it helps with getting a lot of like engagement and reach, and it doesn't necessarily matter if it's like educational or not.
Totally.
Because as long as it reaches people, they look at your page, they like the tattoos, they're going to follow anyways.
Yes.
So, but for us, like, if you make a funny video, that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's gonna go like look at your page and then like stick around because you didn't really have anything else to like offer like as a coach. So if they're looking to like hire you as a coach, if all you have are like skits and like funny videos, like how do they know you're a good coach? Like
So
they
you
don't.
have to,
You're a funny
like-
guy, but like
Yeah. So you have to build the foundation first so people take you seriously?
Yeah, exactly. So I sprinkle them in here and there, kind of like I want to say strategically, but in reality, it's just like motivation based, just whenever I feel like it. And I think that it helps in the sense that it shows people I have like a personality, and then getting more reach out there, and then hopefully they stick around even for the educational content, you know, and then maybe converts that way. But
Because you're a funny dude.
Thanks.
And I especially getting to know you, it's cool because like you have so many other sides to you, like even like a little nerdy side, like you love, I love the comic app that you
oh,
sent me.
webtoons.
And
God, yeah, that's been consuming my life.
dude, it's cool. I haven't been on it for a minute, but it's cool like seeing all the
Yeah.
other kind of cool stuff that you enjoy doing.
So the problem with like adult money is that you can buy stuff that you probably shouldn't, and just like think it looks cool. So I bought this like leather, like fancy looking, like office chair, like with like the kind of high back and like the pointed in like button kind of things, and like with like an ottoman and everything.
Nice.
And we found a place for it in the house, but like it made no sense in our old apartment, and that's when I bought it.
Yeah.
Like I just thought, I was like, this is a sick chair that for adults. like this is where I imagine a man would sit in his house. So I was like, this is something I need. Babe, I think we need this chair. And she was like, if you really like it. And I was like, I love it. And then I bought it, we got it, and I was just like, why the hell did I buy this chair? Like as soon as it showed up, I was like, this was maybe the dumbest thing I've bought in the last 3 to 6 months.
Oh my God.
But it is really comfy, and it now goes in like the library in our house, so it kind of works.
Wow. That is full-blown adult of you,
Yeah,
though.
but the
Paper
library is
towels.
like full of like Legos and like, you know,
Really?
yeah, little children's books. Like whenever I do bodybuilding preps, I just buy a lot of Legos because they take hours to do and it wastes time, and I don't think about anything else, like being really hungry.
Oh my God.
So-
That's so smart.
Yeah, when you're like in a bodybuilding prep, you kind of just find like things that consume hours of time, like movies, for example, like that you can't eat while doing them.
So that's how you do it.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna go leave the movie to go get pizza, so you know, it works out.
I love eating so much. Too much.
It's the best. I love eating, yeah.
So how long do you take to rest after you get tattooed before you start working out again?
Oh, it's a good question because that's something I get asked at least a dozen times after I get tattooed in my comment section.
Yeah.
I would say it depends on where the tattoo is. Like if it's an arm tattoo, then no, I lied. I'll usually, I could work out the same day as long as I'm not doing anything that's gonna get me really, really sweaty because I'm worried about it getting infected. But I would usually say defer to your tattoo artist just because with different styles, especially if you're getting a lot of like blackout work or something like that, you probably wanna be a little more careful. Just more skin coverage. So second thing is I will try not to get a big pump in the area that I got the tattoo because I don't want the skin to stretch. So I try to think about that too. So I usually try to stick to like lower rep range stuff and then more rest in between my sets just to avoid getting like that big pump and then like skin splitting feel where you know your skin is being stretched out after you just like abrased it, you know? So I think that's probably the main two things. Don't get too sweaty and then don't get a big pump. So yeah.
That's great because usually like all I know is that you shouldn't work up too much of a sweat after a tattoo, especially when you have Saniderm on. You don't want to pull a sweat just like underneath it. And also you don't want to like get bacteria on it, which doesn't really apply too much these days because the Saniderm really protects it from bacteria.
Yeah.
So those things like I wouldn't have known. That's cool
Wouldn't
that
think
you
about
mentioned that. Yeah. Just like from the other perspective.
Yeah, and I'll definitely like vouch for the not getting too sweaty with the Saniderm or getting sweat under it because that happened to me and then it left like these little marks where the Saniderm was. Like I'm assuming it was some kind of like rash that formed and then it healed as like a line where the Saniderm was.
Yeah.
And I just had this like slightly darker like brown line. This one had it somewhere, but I think you might have covered it with like this tattoo maybe?
Sick.
Yeah? So, worked out.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
when in doubt, just cover it up with another
When
tattoo.
in doubt, black it out.
Black it out. Yeah, that's something tattooers say.
What's your favorite conspiracy theory?
It's not so much of a conspiracy theory, but something that I think often, like the multiverse thing. Like that we are maybe in one of those like separate Earths from like the original like Earth Prime, where like that's like normal Earth, and then in this Earth we have like a guy who was a reality TV show star, and now was the president and might be the president again. Just like kooky stuff like that, you know?
It is a little kooky these days, right?
If you had told me that when I was
Bananas.
15 years old, I'd be like, you're insane. That guy, like, I just saw him on TV and he just fired someone. Like, that's not gonna happen.
Oh my god. No, that's so true. Because there are so many weird things happening these days. You're like, this has got to be fake.
Yeah, I really have
how
that
the
thought a lot.
universe is.
Like, I know people's, like, some of people's favorite conspiracy theories or Egyptians were helped by aliens. You know, maybe. But also I've seen a lot of those, like, theories be debunked, like, immediately as soon as I did a quick search. You know, they were like, how'd they move all, like, the stuff? And then I looked it up and I was like, well, they had ways to do that. Like, how'd they move those huge blocks? And then I saw some guy do it in his backyard with, like, a huge log just to prove the point. He used this, like, it was one guy move this, like, I don't know, 1,000-something pound huge stone in his backyard, just using like a log that he kind of like wheeled around on like a swivel kind of deal by himself. It was insane. He was like, "This is how they did it. Shut up." Like, it wasn't aliens.
Oh, shit. I kind of like the thought of it being aliens.
I
That's
also
a
do
bummer.
too. Yeah,
Do you think aliens are real?
I do. Absolutely. Aliens are absolutely real.
Now the government says they are real too.
Yeah, and I do think it's very likely that they have them somewhere, at least parts of them. It's just too.
Our universe
yeah.
is too big. My dad was actually, he was in Roswell, New Mexico when he was a kid and saw the stuff there.
Really?
Yeah, he was there for it and saw it when he was a kid. He described it as like this beam that was, I don't know, like just across the room over there, this like sphere that lit up and it was silent and huge and it just hovered there. He was like in a field and then it shot up like this in the sky that fast, paused and then went another way and it was quiet. It was just silent.
What if it's not aliens? What if it's a time traveler? And it was just like a regular drone we see today?
Except it was huge, he said.
Yeah.
Maybe there's huge drones in the future. I guess
Oh.
you would have to be if you were to travel in them.
So that leads me to another thought. You know how Stephen Hawking did that thing where he like wrote a letter to like time travelers or something like that and like waited for them to show up? I think that was him. I believe that was him. But what if, and they never showed up, obviously, but what if the reason they didn't show up was because they knew he was on the island? And they were like, I don't want to see that guy. Don't quote me on any of this because this is all Instagram news sources.
It's crazy. You said you were naturally fairly skinny, huh?
I was really skinny as a kid, yeah.
How long did it take you to get to where you are now?
I mean, I put weight on really quickly once I understood how to. And it, I don't know if you guys knew this, but if you eat more, like, you actually will likely gain weight. And it's really easy to. Yeah, some people have found that out. Yeah, I believe it was scientists sometime.
Yeah.
And yeah, it turns out if you go from eating 2 ramen packets and whatever your parents made for dinner to like tracking your calories and your intake, you'll gain weight really fast.
Wow.
So essentially once I learned how to track my calories, I went from like 125 to 170 in 4 months.
Oh my God.
And then I cut from there 2 months later to like 155. So within like a 6-month span, I gained like 30 pounds, just like really, really quickly. Like beginner gains are like really cool. That's how I feel about running right now because I see like beginner running gains.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, shit. So is that what you would suggest to anybody that was in your position?
I would suggest not doing it as fast because I definitely didn't need to gain that much weight. I was eating way too much. I was eating 2,800 calories that I tracked like kind of loosely. Like I was really bad at tracking, so I would always like underestimate everything I put in. So I was probably eating like 3,000 plus, and I wouldn't track any of the drinks that I had, like juice. So it was a good amount of food for like a little kid. I just got kind of chunky for no reason. But if I knew now, I would say, yeah, if you're gaining, like you very first start lifting and you're like on the skinnier side, if you gain like a pound a week for the first like 3 to 6 months, you'll probably put a lot of muscle on and not as much fat. But if you're gaining anything more than that, you're gonna put a lot of fat on.
Would you say the same for people that are trying to lose weight?
I think that depends a lot more. Like if you have a lot of weight to lose, you can lose a lot of weight much faster. Yeah.
Like in a healthy way?
Yeah.
If you had to choose between having really muscly arms and very skinny legs, or really muscly legs and very skinny arms, and you could never have both, which one are you doing?
I would say that I would probably pick really big arms and skinny legs. Because you can look at professional bikers, and that's essentially them. Like they have really huge legs, and it's just kind of like a strange like centaur look. You know, nothing against them or anything. Like your legs look sick, dude.
Yeah.
But for me,
Centaur.
yeah, I think I would want the big arms, small legs, because then I can wear cool pants. Like currently I can't wear 95% of what's listed on like Essence. But it's nice now that like big pants are in. Yeah, it would just make fashion choices a lot harder if you had huge thighs. And I already experienced that enough like in my bodybuilder phase, so.
I would rather bigger legs.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think most guys would pick the arms, most women would pick the legs.
I wouldn't mind shrinking my arms down.
Yeah, when I think about that question, like for women, you're just like walking around with like SpongeBob inflatable like arms, you know, like these like anchor arms.
Yeah, that's definitely my choice.
What's a comment that y'all have gotten on a post that lives rent-free in your head?
I want to know yours.
That's tough. I'm sure you have some off the top of your dome though. I have to think about mine. Because I have here's the thing, I have so many incredulous comments that are just people who lack any sort of critical thinking that I send them to friends, like I'll screenshot them, send them to friends, and then forget about it immediately. I'm just like, look at how silly this is.
I can imagine you get a lot of controversy because I feel like a lot of men who work out have a lot of things lots of things to say, lots of opinions.
Yeah, they're very opinionated. Well, it's Dunning-Kruger.
They're very sure about it.
Yeah,
too.
it's the Dunning-Kruger, like, you know, the little bell curve where you first start out, you know nothing, but then you know a little bit, you think you know everything, and then you know a lot and you feel like you know nothing, you know?
Love that.
Yeah. So it's just, you get a lot of those in the comment sections. They feel like they've gathered all this knowledge from, I guess, their collective fitness following on social media. So they'll take like little tidbits, but they don't know how to apply it in the right context, or it's just straight out like wrong.
Yeah. I say I let that only like the way you described it, because I think the same way when it comes to tattooers and success in general. Like when at first you think you know everything too.
Yeah.
When you're in the beginning, but then when you sort of know a lot, you realize like, I don't know, you become a little bit more humble.
Yeah, and I can empathize because I was definitely like that when I first started lifting. And like the first 3 years, I thought I knew everything just because I gained like a good amount of muscle and like was writing my own programs. But then I look back and I'm just like, man, I was really dumb. And I do feel that now, like there's still so much left to learn that I feel like I've barely like scratched the surface of it.
Yeah. That's how I feel about tattooing.
Do you ever want to just like completely learn a new style of tattooing though?
No, I
just
did
like
that
switch
in
it
the
up.
beginning.
Yeah.
I had to do everything in the beginning. I was in a street shop and I was a walk-in tattooer, and I did everything that came in the door. And the reason why I specialize in what I do is because I enjoy it the most. You know?
Makes sense. Yeah.
So,
You're not going to take the random like, oh, give me a traditional tattoo.
Or like the people that are like, I wanna really, you know, give you something different.
A mixed bag of styles.
And it's like they're doing me a favor. Like, I want to see what you do with this. And it's like, no, I already know what I'm gonna do.
Throw me a
Did it
curveball.
before. Yeah, curveball. It's like, no.
No thanks.
I do my style because that's what I choose to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice now because you can like pick and choose. Like you can be a lot more selective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of work to get to that point, because I definitely had to say yes to everything for a long time.
Probably saved yourself a lot of headaches too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if someone does a style better, I'm gonna give it to them. You know?
Are there certain questions people will like ask you that you know they're gonna be like trouble if you were to tattoo them, like certain things or the way they act when they inquire with you, and you're just like, I don't know if I want to work with you?
Yes, usually the ones who are very, very particular in their email, and it's just really stressful. I can't imagine the thought of living up to their expectations, and when I'm under that much like stress that my client might not like the tattoo, it's hard for me to do a good job.
You can tell they're really picky.
Yeah, like they're not going to be completely pleased with whatever you do, and those I don't take on.
Yeah.
So what about you? Do you have clients you turn down?
Yeah, at this point though, I just don't take many on anymore, but same kind of thing, like where they have, it's not so much the clients that are particular in their initial email, because I appreciate detail, but then it's the clients who question everything that you tell them. So they're already clients, but then you tell them to do something, and you even give the reason why, but then they'll be like, well, what if this and what if that? And it's just like, who's the coach? I don't know. I think it's me.
I think so too.
Yeah, like I already told you why we're doing this. Like if that other thing would have worked better, then we'd try it, you know? And it's not even so much like the thing that's just their preference. This is based in like the data we've already collected, you know, like if it's a matter of like, oh, you like apples more than, I don't know, oranges, I'll give you apples, you know, like it's not that big of a deal. It's not something that like minute. You were telling me earlier though that you do like a really good Wakandan accent. Would you mind just fleshing it? Like a Wakandan accent, like from the movie Black Panther? Would you mind just...
Everyone gets
I saw like, there's
take me down with you.
There is some video of somebody's doing that. It was like a skit, I think, but I do that to my wife all the time now, like when we're just like out and about, and she hates it. The other bit that I do with her is when we're in like retail shops and somebody asks if we need help, I go, oh yeah, we're fine, but she steals. Like just keep an eye on her, you know. And I say it so seriously, like they're just like, okay.
That's so funny.
And she's always like, he's just joking. I'm like, no. Watch her.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she absolutely hates it because she gets embarrassed really easily too, and she's like, you know, a little more anxious
my
type.
God.
So, but that's like a bit for me, you know. That's one of those little
I'm
ones.
glad you can entertain yourself.
Yeah, I have a lot of jokes that are just for me, as my wife calls them, because she's like, that wasn't very funny. I'm like, I'm laughing really hard. I feel like you have to have those little bits, you know.
Yeah.
It keeps things interesting. When you hang out with somebody all day long, you know, you gotta have fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it and I hate it.
Yeah.
At the same time.
What about you? What are your bits? Like, you have to have a little phrase or thing you just say all the time.
Oh, when Colton drives my car and he hits curbs and stuff, I say, it's okay, it's not your car. It's the only one I can think of.
It's fine, don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's not your car.
That's really good. I'm gonna use that.
Would you do a better tattoo than Deanna would doing a personal coaching session? And I will leave y'all with that.
Would I do a better tattoo? And vice versa? Ooh.
You can rip into me, it's okay.
No, I don't think. Would you do a better job of training people than I would tattooing? And you would definitely train
No,
someone
'cause
better.
I f myself up every time I work out.
No, but
So
like
I'm gonna
my
fuck up other
tattoo,
people.
I would be too nervous first off.
Okay.
Two, I think I would get stuck at just like, how do I put the tattoo gun? I mean, assuming like if you put it in my hand ready to tattoo, I could do some lines and stuff. Yeah, I could do some lines, but it would look terrible and I'd feel awful to whoever got that tattoo.
Well, that's really nice of you to take the fall.
Here's the thing, if you got someone to move more than they move normally
And
for
I
30 minutes,
Paralyze them?
if you paralyze them, I'm gonna say I did better. But if you don't end up paralyzing them, then
That's the line.
I think you did pretty well. Yeah, you got them to move more and exercise, and that's really all that matters at the end of the day. If someone's first starting out, yeah, just like flop around or something like that. Do whatever you think is fun. Get active.
And make
It's
them
better
break
than nothing.
dance.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to do it, but figure it out.
Did you know that like people who like shake their leg and stuff throughout the day, they burn just way more calories than most people? Like people who fidget a lot, like it really adds up. Yeah. And those are the people who tend to also be like leaner as well, just genetically.
So good luck seeing my waist.
Yeah. Like me, like I was always that kid who would be like tapping his like foot in church and stuff, and my dad would be like, stop.
So we're gonna be blown off in the wind any second.
Might be. Yeah.
Good job.
Good job.
Tat's done.
Tat's
Do you
done.
love it?
I do love it. It looks, but seriously though, like I look at it and I'm just like, I've always had this tattoo. It just like fits, you know? Like, I've never gotten that, what's it called, where people get that tattoo shock?
Yeah.
Where like,
I get what
because
you mean.
yeah, some
Like,
people
you've
like
always
get the
had it.
tattoo like and then regret it immediately. They, like feel like it's weird on their body, like, oh, I have this forever. But I'm just like, sick. I have this forever. Looks cool.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I love her. Yeah.
This is gonna not be the most fun to heal, huh?
No.
Because I'm gonna feel that. You could have lied to me. You could be like, it's not that bad.
I'm not a very good liar.